And let's crack straight on to Friday's Guardian and far-right coming for our kids.
Yeah. So the Guardian have been writing a lot about far-right radicalisation, far more than they'd ever write about maybe, I don't know, Islamist radicalisation, which seems to do a lot more actual, bombings and things like that. But anyway, so teachers in England fear they are missing signs of far-right radicalisation. But the stuff they're seeing is radicalisation. So they say there's a lot of low-level banter. Some of it is quite insidious. Bear in mind these are teachers, so this will be like some blue-haired, nose-ringed, lefty saying this.
But also, they're using the word Chad.
Yeah, there's a real undercurrent of misogyny here. Some of the language we're hearing is quite worrying from the incel movement, which is linked to the far right. One pupil was heard using the word Chad. I mean, oh my God, scramble all units. Somebody used the word Chad, so that refers to a sexually active alpha male who's resented by incels.
So this is one of my issues with this, is that often when people, and particularly left-wing publications, talk about the far right and the language of the far right, they do so in the idea of dog whistles. Yeah. And they say that we get these dog whistles, this language, that language, which is actually very insubstantial. Yeah. And it doesn't actually mean anything at all.
Whereas like 2 months ago, an Islamist tried to blow up a maternity hospital. Now, that's not a dog whistle, that's a bomb in a hospital.
Do you think, Steve, I mean, I had the Reverend Bernard Randall on my show, and he was a chaplain at a school in Derbyshire, and, he had to go to a session where the teachers were forced to chant smash heteronormativity, and he didn't want to do that. And he actually gave a sermon saying, look, we need to be able to politely disagree about these issues. And for saying that, the school reported him to Prevent, the anti-terrorism unit, right? So I just wonder whether often in these cases it's people who don't really understand the discourse who are just overreacting and catastrophising. Am I wrong?
I certainly always, this is one of the things we definitely agree on, to disagree is the basis of actually moving forwards. Unless you're willing to have a conversation with someone with whom you disagree, you'll never move forwards.
Yes.
And that is a big problem. I mean, let's not fall into the mindset of thinking we have to somehow act as if there is no far-right extremism just because another extremism exists.
No, I think
But this article, you're right, just says, oh, there's a word used, let's extrapolate.
The problem is, Steve, I mean, no one's denying the existence of the far-right. I've had to block enough of them on Twitter. But the thing is, they are very marginal. And we have to,
They're kind of nutters. All the ones that I've ever interacted with are kind of just the weird guys with a carrier bag sitting in the corner, Weatherspoons. Yeah. They don't seem organised or credible or...
Exactly. My concern is that so many of these sort of articles that come out of The Guardian are people who are determined to see the far right everywhere. Yeah. They think they're ubiquitous, and so they see them everywhere. They hear these dog whistles where they don't exist. And that makes me very mistrustful of it. I'm not saying ignore it when actual far right people emerge. Tackle that. Yeah. But I worry because I think people are scrapping with ghosts on this. A lot of them.
Yeah, and it does make me struggle to work out where the line should be. What do you detect? Because if we were sat here after there'd been some crime that some far-right person had done on a politician or whatever, we'd be saying, oh, more needs to be done. We should be trying to find these people sooner. But I'm not sure how you do work out who's being radicalised and who's actually just using a phrase they saw off the internet and will never be a problem.
And kids do that, don't they? They imitate stuff. They don't really necessarily mean it.
And also kids see through all this sort of nonsense, this sort of, clown world dogma. So, I mean, I think if you want to stop young white men being disaffected and maybe just drifting off into the far right, stop telling them they're awful and they're inherently bad. Stop putting them on the bottom of the pile.
Are you saying the discourse of toxic masculinity has a downside?
Yeah.
It does.